And hello, this is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and we're starting this podcast with a good weather report. Blue skies. It's going to be about 91, I think, today. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good time. It's not too bad. I was listening to people, especially in Washington, D.C., they were saying, oh, this climate change is so bad, it's terrible. So I looked at Washington, D.C., what the average was. The average for July in Washington, D.C. is 89. They were at 90 yesterday. And they were complaining about climate change. So they are not far off the average. Not at all. They're right on target with the average. Well, they might be 1 point above, but to me, that's not bad. That's good. Same thing here in South Carolina. I think we're about 4 points below that. Hey, you know what? One thing that really pissed me off yesterday. Okay, I've been talking to you about the gasoline prices. So I told you what our history was last week with $3.29. Then we went down to $2.99, and then we went up to $3.39. Today we are at $3.59. Now, if I drive past it again this afternoon and it's going to be higher, then I am going to get pissed off. Yeah, I'm always pissed off. What can I say? I'm old. I'm an old pissed off guy. What can I say? The other issue I wanted to talk to you about is, if you notice, and I think maybe you might be in the same boat, of how upset we Americans are and how we do not trust our government anymore. And it's a sad situation to see, but it's happening every single day because we see so much going on in government that makes no sense and does no good for the American people. Across the United States, a growing sentiment of disillusionment. Disillusionment and mistrust has taken hold among the American people towards their government. Citizens believe that politicians, once elected, frequently ignore their constituents, their voices, and pursue self-serving agendas that fail to address the needs of the American people. We see it every single day. We see how the elite are protected by the law, but normal Americans like you and I would be in jail. And we see that happening all the time. We also see a lot of misspending of money. We see questionable foreign policies that are being enacted that we're spending billions of dollars on that we should not even be spending money on. It's not our war. It's not our border. If you look at our politicians, they're very disconnected from us. One of the primary reasons for Americans waning in mistrust in government is the perception that elected officials no longer prioritize the will of the people. Despite promises made during campaigns, politicians have been accused of disregarding the concerns and demands of their constituents. This disconnect between politicians and the public has left Americans feeling voiceless and disempowerment. We don't have the ear of these politicians anymore. So it leads to frustration and a sense of betrayal by these politicians. We see out of control spending, billions and billions of dollars being spent on lies, basically, because what they have told us is that the Inflation Reduction Act was supposed to reduce the inflation, but it didn't do anything. It was on the Green New Deal. And then the Debt Reduction Act, they said it was supposed to reduce the debt. It increased the debt. So we are told these things in these bills that the bills have nothing to do with the subject matter that's on the title of the bill. We have out of control spending, and it's creating havoc and chaos within the United States. And then we have questionable political agendas. Everyone's pushing these agendas that have nothing to do with helping the American people. It has everything to do with changing things, but not helping. And their change is not helping. And then we have foreign policy concerns. The involvement of the U.S. government in foreign conflicts, such as the situation in Ukraine, has also strained Americans' trust. When citizens perceive that their government is engaging in activities that do not directly benefit the American people, they question the motives and the priorities of the elected representatives and the President of the United States. The perception of corruption and the alleged acceptance of bribes by by high-ranking officials further contributes to mistrust. We don't trust it anymore. So the foreign policy is junk. We don't have a foreign policy. The country of Ukraine has been corrupted. The Biden family placing the president in a weak, compromised position. They've sent millions of dollars to the Bidens. We did not have an issue with Russia. Russia nor Ukraine are on our borders. Billions of dollars in war machines have been sent to Ukraine with no system in place to track of how that money is being spent or used. Spending our own weapons in war machines have depleted our own military strength. Biden said the other day that, and he said it so stupidly, we ran out of bullets. Then we have the issue with China. China is a big threat to America. And yet we have no strategy to deal with China. Biden says he knows the leader, has traveled with him several times. And yet the leader of China doesn't even want to talk to the United States. We've sent our dignitaries, our Secretary of State, our Secretary of the Treasury over there begging for meetings with the leader of China. So they see, they smell, and they acknowledge the weakness, and they are going to take full advantage of America's weakness at the moment. And here we sit today with a threat of war with China. There's rumblings of war all over the place. And yet we have no policy to deal with China. There's a Chinese saying, is muddy waters make it easy to catch fish. And that is that it's possible to use a crisis or period of chaos for personal benefit. China has muddied the waters and American leadership is falling for it. And we, as Americans, we see what's going on. And the other issue that Americans are upset about is the protection of the political elite. It seems as though that the law protects them, but for us, we're put in jail. Then we have growing social issues of the crime going rampant in many of these cities, homelessness going rampant, drug abuse and pooping on the streets and everything else has gotten out of control. And yet, no politician does anything about it. And then we have the economic impact. And that economic impact has hit all of us in America. It has hit us so hard that our families have suffered. Some of you have even gone out of food. You've taken your food and stretched it as far as that you can. Your dollars as far as you can. And even though we see, Bidenomics is working, no, it's not working yet. Everything that he has done with his economic plans have failed the American people. And what Congress has done is overspending has failed the American people. So we sit here and we're upset. Americans are upset every single day. So how long do Americans last without remembering how this country was formed? Where we had a king in England that was oppressing the people and a group of people decided, we got to get out of this. We don't want to be oppressed anymore. So they all took the risk and got into a boat or several boats and came to America. And they set up shop. And they began forming a new country. And then England said, no, you've got to pay us taxes. You're still English citizens, so you still have to pay us taxes. So what did we have? We had taxation without representation, which is pretty much what we have at this moment. We have taxation without representation. You and I, we go into our businesses every day, we turn on the lights, and we try to make it a success. We try to make it survive at this moment in time. We go to work, and we get our paychecks, and we think, how much is this going to cover me this month? What emergencies are going to come up that I'm going to go absolutely broke? I'm not going to be able to feed my children. And those are the questions that have been asked for the last 2 years. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? The question every single morning as we got up, what are we going to do? So there's this big mistrust. We distrust the government because they're not acting to the benefit of the American people. They're acting to the benefit of their own personal pockets as politicians. You see politicians going into office and coming out rich individuals, multimillionaires when they come out of office. And I think we should ask the question, how does that happen? How does it happen? Because I know that when we go into our jobs, we don't come out millionaires, right? We come out with a W-2, maybe a retirement package, and that's just about it. But we don't come out millionaires. It's a rarity if you come out a millionaire. But politicians go into $135,000 job every year, and they come out millionaires. But with that being said, with all that complaining I just did, America's still a good country, and we have a whole bunch of possibilities. We have a whole bunch of potential. We have the ability to take back this country and make it the country that it once was. Forget about this racism thing. Forget about these political agendas of climate warming and everything else. Focus on the American people. Focus on your next door neighbor. Focus on your church, your school, your playground, your mother's meeting to organize to help their children. Tutor a child at school. You can do a whole bunch of different things that can turn this country around, especially in your community. So we start with the community first, and we work our way up. But when elections come along, that's when we can use our voice. That's when we can use our power of the vote. You have to ask, how much longer will Americans take it before they see that they need to take action very quickly? That action might be a revolt, and it may be a peaceful action where you literally focus on your communities and your families. Listen, this is Mike Lodge, and if you would like to talk with me more, you can send me a business question if you'd like at thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com, or if you would like to sit down with me for a 60-minute confidential coaching on business, go to my website. You can book online at www.lodge-co.com. Everybody go out and have a great day. We're almost to Friday. Tomorrow's a Friday, so get ready. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.